All right. Thank you. I know probably a lot of you have seen me before, probably not in person. But I'm here to kind of talk about our story because we're not ranchers. We're not farmers. The only property we own is a little corner lot around our house. But what got us involved and what brought my husband down to Nevada for the Bundy Ranch was the fact that he saw people being abused by the system. He saw our government putting a First Amendment area up, and to us, we have our First Amendment everywhere, not in one area. And then people being abused for using their First Amendment, for taking pictures on the side of the road, and being out of that First Amendment area. And so he got in the truck and drove down to the Bundy Ranch, and we all know what happened. I bet everyone in this room has seen that picture, right? And after he got home, I got to tell you, that was the beginning of opening my eyes to the mainstream media and what they do. Because their narrative for the story is that Cliven called for an armed militia to go and take his cows back by force. And that is, I'm here to tell you, that's not the story whatsoever. Cliven didn't call upon my husband. My husband was not in a militia. He saw a video on Facebook of a grandma being thrown to the ground and her calling for an ambulance and the ambulance not coming. And he thought to himself, the only thing that tyranny needs is good men to stand by and do nothing.
Right.
And so he decided to serve. Now, that picture went crazy, and we got lots of threats and lots of people who were happy about it, and lots of people talking because of the government's narrative. And we always thought, we believed in the justice system. We believed we'd go to court one day. We always knew. And when we'd get there, we had truth on our side. So that would help us. That is not what we found. We got into the justice system. Well, I guess you could call it that. He was picked up, and then he was picked up 2 years after the fact, right? So then they say, well, we're not ready. We're not ready to go to court yet. We need another year. So you're going to sit in federal detention with no bail for a year. And it's created. They have a 90-something% conviction rate. Most of that is plea deals. It's created to cause the most hardship on the families while making the most money off the inmate. And so we made it the year. And I couldn't sit by idly. I had to know what was going on, especially for the year of not knowing anything. We didn't have money for a lawyer, so we got a public defender. And he was in Nevada and I was in Idaho, and he didn't communicate very well. So I decided to go down. I did not plan on doing any live streams. The only reason I did is because people in Idaho asked me to. And what I saw when I got there was no media. And there was media reporting, though. Let me tell you, people who didn't go to the courtroom, they were saying what was going on with the trial, and it was absurd. And so I decided that I'm going to take my time and I'm going to sit in the courtroom and take all these notes and bring it out there, because once again, all tyranny needs is for good people to stand by and do nothing. Even if it is just to call those people out for what they're doing. And what I saw in that courtroom is I saw federal agents lying on the stand. I saw Metro police officers lying on the stand. I saw Nevada Highway Patrolmen lying on the stand. I saw the prosecutors and the FBI lying and putting this forth. And we still fought. We fought pretty hard. And the government gets their go first, and they had weeks and weeks, and it came to our turn. And when we started to bring witnesses, they told all of our witnesses, okay, well, this is still an open investigation. So you come up and you testify, but you're very likely leaving here with an indictment. So we had 3 people take the stand. One of those was my husband. Even with that picture, they could not get a conviction on one of the 10 felony charges that they had. So I thought, what do you think? You go to court, and if they can't prove you're guilty, you're not guilty, right? That's the way our justice system works. Well, that's wrong. They're going to tell you, oh, okay, well, this is a mistrial. We didn't do it right, so we're going to go again. And so when they decided they're going to go again, now mind you, he's still being held, and now we're both away from our kids. So we're going to go again. This time, they're going to stack the jury. Every single one of the people that we wanted off, we had to explain to them. I'm not going to go into that because I'm trying to stay within a time limit, but that's not how it's supposed to work. Then they told us we couldn't speak, all of this words of snipers and things like that. We didn't have a self-defense defense because there was no proof of snipers. That's because the prosecution and the FBI held that back. That we all now know because Cliven's case was completely dismissed because they held this information back. Well, guess what? They held exculpatory evidence and Brady material from the first 2 trials. And there's no taking that back. The first trial ended and Todd Engel and Greg Burleson were found guilty. They were not found guilty of crimes. They were found guilty based on things that they said, based on intent. And it's all because they withheld information from the jurors. Whether it's withholding how much time, because I believe that they gave Todd Engel the 2 charges because they're like, oh, those are the lesser 2 charges. They never thought it would give 20 years to him, but that's what they're pushing for. So we go into our next trial, and this time we have to proffer all of our witnesses. So the government gets to go their many weeks again. Now we don't even get our witnesses to come, the ones that will come, to come in front of the jury first. No, they have to tell their entire story in front of the judge and the prosecution only. And then at the end be told, oh, there's no good information there. They're not going on. Then my husband takes the stand again. And he probably got through maybe half a day, if that, on top of all of the 20-minute holds that they're calling, objections, where they go over in the corner and argue and you don't know what's going on. He lost his right to testify on his own behalf because he said my main focus was straightforward and up and to the right. By saying my focus was up and to the right, he was alluding to the snipers. And so he was ripped off the stand and his testimony was stricken from the record. That day was very emotional for me, and I called for people and people came. And probably some of the people in this room came. And because those people came down, because we were out on the street calling these people out, media came, Scott Drexler was actually able to testify in his own defense and get some information out. But we still couldn't talk about the snipers and all of that Brady information, all of the Wooten email, all of the 300 pages plus. We didn't get, I don't think we even still have that information. We don't know what's in it. So we were looking at a third trial. Now the entire time I had been trying to reach out to just about anyone, as many others in my state were. And we were finally able to get our representatives to, our representative Dorothy Moon, she actually knew Scott Drexler personally. She started raising awareness because here we have 2 trials. They're still going for a third trial. They couldn't get us guilty. In fact, 2 people were fully acquitted. Everyone else, many charges were dropped. They're only facing 2 to 4 charges now instead of 11 each. But they're still going to try them again. And that's when our legislators and finally our senator stepped up. And they signed a letter, much like the letter that they're asking to sign today. And let me tell you, it's not a popular thing. For these people to stand up and do this is huge. And I tell you, we all had to stand up and support these people, even still today. We have to stand up and support these legislators, these people that we put in office, that will stand and do the right thing. We have to stand behind them, not just when they're doing it, but continue afterwards. And the people that we put in office that won't do the right thing, it's our duty to get them out and get people in there that will do the right thing. So our senator signed the letter and he took it to Jeff Sessions. Sessions came to Nevada at one point and he declined to comment and said he commended the prosecution for what they were doing. Well, I bet he wants to take that back now, don't you? So we were still looking at going to a third trial, and a lot of things happened, and finally they came to us and they said, you know, take a misdemeanor. And we looked at it, we still weren't getting a fair trial. We've been through 2, and it's only gotten worse. The first one was more fair than the second one, and the second one, Eric couldn't even testify for himself. So we're looking at, do you think we're going to get a fair trial in this third one? And so both Eric Parker and Scott Drexler took those misdemeanors. And right afterwards, the next trial began. And a lot of things happened that changed the tone. And a lot of people ask me, well, why do you think that your trials and their trials were so different? And you know, everyone's like, well, they had some paid lawyers. I tell you, our public defenders did fight. It was hard to get them to the point, but once they were there and believing us and seeing for themselves the injustice in this courtroom, because they're there every day, they're like, we've never seen anything like this. They were fighting. But I do believe that when Dan Love finally, after he was under investigation and all that stuff went through, and they were able to get him in the courtroom, a lot of things changed. And then we had the Wooten email come out and all of those things. So I'm here today to say that we still need to work, because it happened here, it happened to the Hammonds, and what I hear from Oregon is it happened there too. You think that when the government wants to win, they will make you proffer your witnesses. That's not right. Our witnesses, we have a right to bring witnesses on our behalf. We have a right to testify for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that is not allowed in the courtroom. But more importantly, we have a duty to elect people and hold them to a standard. We also need to hold people like Stephen Myrie and the FBI agents in this case to a standard. Not the first time that Stephen Myrie has done this, and if nothing happens to him, it's not going to be the last. So, that's all. They're telling me I'm done, so.
Andrea, because your husband is not here, I want to thank you personally for what your husband did. Eric Parker is a hero. He and the others that came down to protect my life and the life of my family, they are all heroes. And I do believe that we are alive today because of him and these others. That's right. And I believe that they are deserving of a Presidential Medal of Honor. They felt the Spirit of the Lord. They knew that there was wrongs going on, and they immediately acted and came. They didn't leave it to someone else to do. They came and did it. These type of men are what make America great. These are the type of men that all of us should be to protect our life, liberty, and property. Thank you, Eric.